Welcome back to Politics by Faith, the Russia hoax reckoning. The great senator from Wisconsin, Ron Johnson. Senator, how are you?
I'm doing well, Mike. Hope you are too.
Yes, I am. First, why does this all matter? Who cares? It's some political shenanigans, Senator, that's all.
I mean, when you really consider the impact of what Hillary Clinton, Barack Obama, Joe Biden, John Brennan, all their henchmen, the whole cast of characters, the extent that they interfered in multiple elections, the fact that they created this political turmoil that really continues to this day. Russia and China could only dream of having a fraction of that destructive influence on American politics. So this is a big story. This ought to outrage every American. The problem is the vast majority of the legacy corporate media are radical leftists themselves, of the communication wing of the Democrat Party. And so they're clinging to their Pulitzer Prizes that were all based on this false narrative. They are complicit in this political turmoil, in this election interference. And it goes way beyond domestic situation. I mean, Vladimir Putin's well aware of the fact that they knew the Russian collusion hoax was exactly that, and they still used it. Did that fact, I mean, the fact that then Joe Biden got elected on that basis, the fact that Obama and Biden are so weak, did that, for example, impact his decision to invade Ukraine? So this not only had domestic political implications, threw our country into turmoil that lasts today, but I think it had pretty grave international and foreign relations implications as well. So again, the destructive part, the Democrat Party, the radical leftists in it is the Democrat Party. They are destructive. They are the dangers to our democracy.
Can you think of examples, or is there as prominent of an example of an intel agency, the CIA, turning into America like this? We could talk about, and people can criticize the CIA getting involved with other foreign nations, but to turn on America like this, what's that about?
No, this is completely unprecedented. And again, it's not just this. Again, this was the president of the United States, fully aware of the fact that Hillary Clinton approved a plan to make up a political dirty trick against Donald Trump. Foreign intelligence had picked up on that decision. John Brennan briefed the president that this was all happening, and yet they continued to use the Steele dossier, even though they knew the subsource was somebody that the FBI was investigating as a Russian agent. So again, they knew this back in 2016, and yet they ran with it. This is beyond a political dirty trick. I mean, this is just subversive. I think it's literally treasonous. And again, the mainstream media won't point out how horrible this is. They'll talk about how Donald Trump's a danger to democracy because he's a stooge of Russia, but that's all made up. So they'll have outraged that for now going on 10 years, 10 years, and yet they won't say a peep about how this was completely ginned up, this was completely false. This was all done by Democrats, by Obama, by Biden, by Clinton. Their leaders led this effort of subversion and treason against the United States of America.
I think it was Molly Hemingworth who said, if it was true that this Russia collusion with Trump, and so bad that it deserved front page coverage for years, then it is even more deserving that the truth of the story be on the front page of the media as well. But of course, to your point, it's nowhere. Okay, so what do we do now? We got Tulsi Gabbard on it. We have the executive branch doing what they can do. You're in the Senate. What can be done in the Senate?
Well, we expose it. I just read, walking over here, apparently Kash Patel has found a bunch of documents in a burn bag. He'll be turning those over to the Judiciary Committee and Senator Grassley. So this is about exposure. And from my standpoint, I truly hope the Department of Justice takes this up as a conspiracy case. I think some of the statute of limitations issues go away. But more importantly, you can prosecute this in a district other than the D.C. John Durham, who I think probably did a pretty good investigation, I think some of his annexes are included in this latest document dump. The point on John Durham is he would never indict if he didn't think he could convict. No matter how guilty he thought somebody was, if he didn't think he could convict somebody. So in Washington, D.C., any prosecutor who has that standard will never indict a Democrat because you can't convict Democrats. Not for political crimes in D.C. You got 97% of the population, which means the jury pool will be Democrat. They'll never vote to convict. So you need to, take that case to another venue where I think the best way to lay this out is in a courtroom where you have prosecutors go step by step, timeline, lay it out as a timeline, hear all the actions taken to develop the case of this treasonous conspiracy, because that's exactly what it was.
Okay, so a conspiracy charge can be done anywhere, or do they have to try to find some, is there like a reason, if they want to move it to Florida, they have to have a reason to move it to Florida? Or can it be anywhere?
The Mar-a-Lago, how about the Mar-a-Lago raid? I think that there's plenty of ways that prosecutors can take a look at this and make a connection to bring charges in a venue outside the District of Columbia.
Yeah, it's great. Okay. What about lying to Congress? What is your go-to example of someone who lied under oath to Congress?
Well, again, if it's a Republican, they'll be prosecuted and jailed. Or even if they don't lie, they just refuse to answer questions. This is the case of Steve Bannon and Peter Navarro. They were tried on contempt charges. They were sent to jail. Now, John Brennan, I think, clearly lied to Congress. I think probably others have as well. That's a crime, and it should be prosecuted, and they should go to jail.
So it's some pretty serious stuff, Senator, you're talking about. Right? You're throwing the T word around. That's a big deal, right? Talking people go to jail. I mean, the president put Obama at the top of this. People are talking about sending the former president of the United States to jail. It's some big stuff. I mean, everyone realizes that, right?
As you said, the outrage the media whipped up in this country over a completely false narrative of Trump collusion with Russia interfering in the 2016 election pales in comparison. I mean, this is orders of magnitude worse in terms of the impact on our politics and the body politic. It's way worse, and yet it's not being covered by the legacy media. Go figure.
We are. Ron Johnson, Senator from Wisconsin. Thanks for getting the word out. Appreciate you, Senator. Welcome back to Politics by Faith, talking about the Russia collusion hoax, the Obama criminal conspiracy, more like it. We went long on our guests because they were so great. There's so much information here that we got to get caught up on. But I do want to end on a biblical note. So my podcast, Politics by Faith, is what we do. We take the news of the day and then we run it through a biblical filter because it's all in the Bible. There's nothing new under the sun. Everything is in there. And when I say everything, I mean everything. And years ago, I took that as a challenge. Like, is everything really in there? Yes, everything is in there. So the premise, the core of this story is plotting, right? Behind the scenes plotting for evil. Well, Psalm 21:11, though they plot evil against you and devise wicked schemes, they cannot succeed. You say, oh, so that's not really about political plotting of, okay. There's a couple scenes in the Bible of plotting for wickedness that didn't work out for the plotters. Joseph's brother, that'd be a good one, plotting to kill him, ultimately selling him into slavery. God had Joseph protected the entire time. May not have looked like it over all those years, but God was there. That's why it says in Genesis 50:20, you intended to harm me. But God, this is Joseph talking to his brothers, you intended to harm me, but God intended it for good to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. Maybe a closer parallel, because in the end, Joseph forgave his brothers. But maybe some closer parallels would be the ploy to throw Daniel into the lion's den. These people hated Daniel, so they tricked the king into signing a decree. And Daniel broke the decree, praying, so they threw him in the lion's den. Didn't work. And then when the plot was unveiled, what happened? The king ordered them to be thrown into the lion's den. And the lions are so ravenous that their bodies never even touch the ground. And then another pretty one-to-one story actually is Haman had a plot to destroy the Jews, but Mordecai overheard him. There were no emails back then, but would have been like the equivalent. So Queen Esther foiled the plot, and then Haman was executed on the plotter was executed on the very same gallows that he built for Mordecai. But in the end, he was executed on them. Pretty good, right? The sinister plans of the wicked. They don't work out. They don't work out. And even if it seems like they do here on earth, God has the afterlife taken care of for them. So you don't have to worry about it. Come up with an evil plot. Good luck. God knows everything. He'll use it for his glory in the end. Politics by Faith, everywhere you listen to podcasts. Join us over there. We do one pretty much every day. Politics by Faith. Mike Slater, The First TV.